All righty, I want to welcome everybody out to the November 7th, 2022 regular scheduled Jenkins City Council meeting. Madam Clerk, you call the roll, please.
Ernestine.
Here.
Chuck. Sean.
Here.
Rick.
Here.
Sammy.
Here.
Ronnie.
All right, if you would rise for the pledge. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All righty, in your package you've got the minutes from the October meeting. Any additions, deletions, questions? If not, I entertain a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second it.
Motion to second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Also, the October financial report is in your packet. Any comments or questions about the financial report? If not, entertain a motion to approve.
Make the motion that we accept it as presented.
I'll second.
Got a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Well, Scott, we've got right down to you. And before Scott gets started, Eunice has went on to work for a company called QK4, and she is going to be, her first project is the Mountain Parkway project on the Prestonsburg end, which is pretty exciting. So she's still working for us, but she's working for us in Floyd County. So we're going to miss her and her reports, but Scott's got a report to give us tonight on some of the stuff Crad's working on for us right now. Scott?
The CDBG grant for the ADA renovations to City Hall. There's a public meeting for the project scheduled on Monday, November 21st at 2:30 at City Hall here for those who would like to attend. Phase 1 of Jenkins Sewer I&I project was submitted on September 16th, 2022. DLG later requested a revised 424 form that was submitted on October 14th, 2022. We are working on the ARC pre-application for Phase 2 of the Jenkins Sewer I&I project. Land and Water was submitted on May 4th. On November 9th, we will be doing a presentation to the advisory board to see if funding will be rewarded. We are working on a LEPP for Jenkins, and CRAD presented the city's recreational trails program application on September 28th to the Kentucky Recreational Trails Advisory Board to receive funding. This project is to design and development of walking trail starting at the Little Shepherd's Theater and ending at the Jenkins Overlook. We are still waiting to hear whether this project has been funded.
All righty, thank you, Scott. Anybody got any questions about those? The last one is the one we applied for before, then the coal company's changed hands and we couldn't get the easement, so we reapplied for that. Of course, it was about $170,000 last time. We applied for $300,000, but we were able to present to the full board and got some pretty good feedback, but they'll be letting us know. The Land and Water grant is the one to upgrade City Park, LED lighting, ceilings for the pavilion and the stage, and resurfacing the parking lot, just a lot of general upgrades to try to get it back in good shape. That pavilion and stuff was originally built with land water grant funding, so Tabitha will be presenting that at DLG in Frankfort Wednesday. I'm going to try to make it by the time they have it, but we have FEMA meetings that morning and another KLC meeting, so we'll be presenting to see if to get invited to present is a pretty good thing, so we're excited about this opportunity to get to tell our story about those projects and why we think they're worthwhile.
The ADA renovation, is that elevator or is that a lift?
That's elevator, restrooms, and upgrades for the building. We had had funding for an elevator previously, but it was moved into another project, so trying to get all that so we can use that upstairs and make it accessible to people.
What's LEPP?
Law enforcement protection, something, that's like project, yeah. Tasers and, well, we got in, is it tasers this time?
Well, tasers and vests and body cams, I'm trying to work that body cam one into it too.
Yeah, we've had some success in the past with that, but we're applying for that again too. We've also got the grant for the cruiser, but there is no cruisers. They'd ordered 400 Tahoes and sold all of them, had a Charger that I thought we were going to be able to get. So now we're waiting to the week of Thanksgiving to call and see if we can get a Silverado truck. So hopefully we'll get that going here before too long.
Will that be the K-9 unit?
Yeah. Moving on, engineers report. We've lost another one. Harold is gone. We want to congratulate him on getting a job with the Army Corps of Engineers. He will be a geologist, what he's trained for and always done. He's did us a good job through Nesbitt Engineering on projects we've had here and help keep up with them and inspect them. But we want to wish him well in his new job. And Jeffrey Justice, y'all seen him before, but he's the executive director of the Pine Mountain Partnership. And just a reminder of what that is, that's the Letcher County Fiscal Court, City of Leon, Whitesburg, and Jenkins. He was brought on to work on economic development, and he got a good start at that, and then the water rose. So he has been a recovery manager, distribution king. Anything happening at the OC, meeting, looking around, and people get swallowed out, and so what we're going to do next, they holler, said Jeffrey, take care of that. So he's been a big help keeping things moving through the whole county and keeping up with stuff coming and going in volunteer groups. But anyway, he's going to give us a little update on some of the things he's working on all across the board tonight.
Yeah, so I'll talk about the flood very little. But yeah, I found myself in that pretty deep figuratively, not literally, thank God. So the amount of times I get a call where it's just like, I was told to call you for this and that, and I don't know any of it. Thankfully, I just know the people to call. So that's been an experience. But it was important for me to make sure that we retain our population that was already the fastest declining in the state in Letcher County and prevent any more. This is a good excuse to leave, I guess I could say. It can be very easily the straw that just breaks the camel's back. So finding opportunities for new housing developments. It's not just housing. We're working with the City of Jenkins and City of Whitesburg on 3 sites for sure. Hopefully we'll find another one in the western part of the county as well. But right now we've got an engineering firm and a urban planning firm working on those projects, and then it's in conjunction with FEMA's, Todd, you'll have to help me with this acronym, Interagency Recovery Council. Is that the IRC?
Okay.
Interagency Recovery Council.
That's my knowledge.
So them, the state, USDA, all kinds of federal partners coming together to build communities back in a flood-safe way. So looking at community developments on top of old strip jobs, essentially, that the land's already flattened and no good for anything else. There's a lot more of it than I thought coming into this job, and Randall will know this much better than me, that there was no flat land, and I've come to find out that there's all kinds of it. It's just overgrown and out of eye shot and owned by 1 million people and probably their great grandkids. So, but there is flat land there. So that's the first hurdle, and that's the biggest hurdle. But we've identified 3 really good spots. 2 of those are here in Jenkins, and I think within the city limits, right?
One is, but
So that's fantastic, going along with the idea behind Jenkins as a priority is twofold. One, it would help the city grow organically. And then two, Jenkins is very strategically located, and you got Pikeville to the north, Norton to the south, all not quite equal distances, but relatively close, both with colleges, universities, both with pretty big medical centers, both with retail opportunities. So it's not a far stretch for people that want a little bit further off the beaten path to choose to live in Jenkins. And then you collect the property tax, all sorts of different things. You have people in your downtown, maybe even deciding to build businesses and that sort of thing, but the population attracts growth, and then growth attracts more population, and then it's just a snowball. So there's no shame in being a veteran community for a while to get your legs under you. So that's a first step of chipping away at this population decline problem, is building that housing strategically located, close enough to 23, but far enough out to where you feel like you're secluded and have peace that we all enjoy. That's why we chose to live here. And using those as, it's called mixed use developments. So zoned in a way that you can have residential lots next to very small commercial lots. So think like a neighborhood ice cream store or a neighborhood coffee shop, corner store, that kind of thing. So it's not super restrictive, so people don't have to drive so far to get to things that they might want and need. And then also mixed income. And I got to explain that one a little bit, because whenever I say mixed income, people typically think a trailer park next to a mansion kind of thing. And it's not the case. The scope is about $100,000 to $150,000, with inflation probably around $150,000 to about $300,000. So not a far stretch, but a place that people of different incomes can get together. They can still go to each other's their kids' birthday parties and commune together and whatever. Builds a better sense of community. There's not as much division. And thankfully in Eastern Kentucky, there's not a lot of that anyway, because you go up a lot of hollers and there is a $1 million home right next to a single wide trailer. But that's the whole idea of what we're looking at. So really excited. We did a promotional video for that, getting some conceptual drawings and stuff like that done. So I look forward to presenting all of that to you guys. Going to meet with the governor's designees and some senators and stuff like that about that 16th and 17th, I believe, of this month. So that'll be a really exciting project. Few hundred house lots between all the sites, so it's a real good opportunity for us to kind of push a reset button and start over a little bit. There's nothing that is keeping people away from Letcher County. Whenever we see the population decline, it's typically people moving closer to work, and because there's not any inventory to buy in Letcher County. You look at the census numbers, and we have about 3,300 jobs in Letcher County. That's it. Right. Some towns, that's one employer. And the data's skewed. So, but 3,300 jobs reported in the census. 11,000 working age adults. So there's a big disparity there. But that means that a lot of people are choosing to live in Letcher County, even though they work somewhere else. So that's good. That means if we bring housing inventory online, it'll probably go pretty quickly. Not a flash sale, but we'll be able to chip away at it pretty quickly. So that's using those numbers and keeping that in mind. The housing piece, industry recruitment piece, and then business retention piece. And business retention, that just means growing what's already here, helping them add jobs. All of those putting together, the flood was a awful thing, but it's brought a lot of resources to us that will make these projects that we wanted to do anyway happen much, much quicker. But keep in mind, when I say much, much quicker, maybe 10, 15 years instead of 30 years. So still slow, but the best time to plant a tree is 20 years ago, next best time today. So at least we're making these investments now, and it'll pay dividends in the future. So that's what I talked with the partnership. Todd alluded to. It's the sitting mayor of all the 3 cities and the sitting judge executive and the chair of the EKY Heritage Foundation. All sit together once a month, collaborate on projects, work together, and I truly believe that that's made working through this flood situation much easier. And finding this type of development project, I mean, this is a big project. It'll probably be the biggest project I work on in my career. Finding something of that magnitude here in Letcher County, I really believe at least 4 or 5 folks at this table every month, getting to know each other, knowing that they can trust each other, work together, has paid dividends. So Todd, I appreciate your participation and always being there for me and everything we need, questions I might have. I am new to Letcher County still. I was here, 4 months before the flood, so not a lot of time to do a lot of substantial work, but I definitely got trial by fire after that, and got to know I've driven parts of this county I didn't know existed. So it's been good, but I wanted to come tonight to let all of you know. I know you probably read about the Raven Rock announcement. We got granted $1.7 million, which was less than we asked for, but that just moved our plan a little bit. Instead of building the convention center, conference center first, it's too small to be a convention center, conference center first, we're going to build some cabins first. And then if we are fortunate enough to be awarded some other money that it's being considered right now, our consultants say that we could fit. What we presented was 22 miles, which was the logging roads that are already on the property. We've been told that that's actually a terrible idea to not use the logging roads. That has no, it doesn't excite mountain bikers. There's no thrill in it for them. But then they did an assessment and they think we can fit 50 miles of trails on that same property. So that worked out in our favor, and they think we could do that with the amount of money that we should be getting. 50 miles, anything over 40 miles will qualify you for certification with the International Mountain Bike Federation, IMBF. I think that's the acronym. So many acronyms. But certification with the IMBF gets you on their circuit. So whenever you're on their circuit, it's an automatic. Like, people want to do all the tracks in the circuit, and people pay a lot of money to do that. I mean, they're traveling with $10,000 bicycles. So it might not sound like a very exciting project, some bicycle trails, but whenever you know how to make money off of them, it becomes a very important engine. So whenever you guys are out in your community here, plant that seed, because those people that will be traveling here to do the mountain biking will need places to eat, need places to get snacks. That's not, a lot of them will like to go to locally owned places, locally owned restaurants, all sorts of different things, bicycle shops, outfitters. Like, just start kicking these ideas out to people, and then hopefully one of them will be inspired and take a risk and start a business. I wouldn't tell them to open it in the next 3 months, because it'll take a while to build it out, but at least start planting the seeds so that the city is ready whenever this thing opens. That's the big thing. Is I don't want a situation like the Hatfield McCoy ATV trails, where they built a very elaborate and nice trail system, but then didn't consult with the cities to get the people ready. So there's no hotels, no lodges, no restaurants, and it was just kind of, people came once and then they were like, but there's nothing to do there, so we'll just go back. We can't assume that the trail itself and the cabins will be enough of an attraction to keep people coming back. We really need a good experience in town. So take that, really use it to inspire people, and kick the seeds out and hopefully some of them will sprout. We're really excited about the trail connecting the amphitheater to the property. That'll be a key piece of getting people, well, it doesn't connect the property, but it connects the property that connects to the property. But it's a very easy bike ride or walk from where the cabins will be situated down to the amphitheater. So that'll be fantastic in my opinion. It'll just help use a lot of the assets that are here in town. And a lot of them already exist. They're already there, just all the pieces are getting put together now. So it's exciting. I'm really excited about it. I could talk about it all night if you want me to, but I'll hush there.
Well, Jeffrey, thank you. And one thing I'm excited about, after 110 years of being owned by different companies, and for one reason or other, they did what they did with it, it's finally going to be, to me, be able to be used what God made it for. So it's not just the cabins and the bike trails, it's the zip line, mountain climbing, tunnels, the railroad tunnel, not tunnel, I mean caves. But anyway, we'll get to it. There's a lot of stuff can happen up there and bring people to
I'll say
town.
this one last thing. I just went to Blowing Rock, North Carolina, and I paid $9 to go look at that rock. And the view was, the mountains were taller, it was pretty, it was very pretty. But that's just as pretty. There's no reason people wouldn't pay to, we gotta think about it as a tourist attraction, not a community asset. So, not something for community members to do and enjoy. If they wanted to do that, they've had their whole lives to go up there and trespass like we all do when we want to go explore and do it. We got to think, how can we add value to our community from outside people? So if someone's driving on 23, someone grabbed them off and paid $9 to go look out of the mountain.
Let's go for
And
it.
something to seem silly to us, because we can go anywhere we want to and look off a mountain. But if you've never been in Appalachia, you don't understand how gorgeous it is. So that's the kind of the mindset we got to get in. Use these as attractions for outsiders, not assets for community members, although it is both.
A lot of stuff going on. And one thing to add to his, the federal partners, it is awful what happened, and I can't understand it because I try to live in a house with this stud sticking out. But with the attention we have now, with all the contacts we made with federal partners, with the interagency groups that are working together, with all the meetings that's going on with officials, to make sure they understand where we're at and what we need, and talking with other groups that's dealt with disasters across the nation on the things that didn't go so well for other areas. We're sort of up on what to do next, and hopefully we can make the best of it. So thank you, Jeffrey. I guess that's a segue, and Miss Brenda Gaddis with ER Assist, and she's going to give us a little update on what we're doing with them.
Okay, and I'm gonna look at my phone because I have notes on my phone, so.
You want a hard copy? Is it easier?
Oh, I'm good.
Okay.
I'm good. Just a few kind of points that Susan wanted me to bring up. She wasn't able to be here tonight, so I'm here for her. The EK Safe Grant. I'm not sure, but I think there may have been a little bit of confusion about that. I know the state of Kentucky sent out a contract for those who will receive the grants in anticipation of the grants being awarded. It has not been awarded yet. And I know they sent it out and they said like 20 million.
20 million. Robin called me, so we got $20 million from the state. That's good.
That's not been awarded, or that's not been approved yet. That's a placeholder, so it could change. I don't think it will, but it could. It's just a placeholder. And for now, in anticipation of you guys being awarded the grant, so the contract, you already have the contract. So we will be submitting that grant this week. We had to wait until we got the estimated cost of repairs on the slips from the engineer before we could submit that grant, but it will be done this week. The engineering reports on the slips have been received, and the engineer is recommending retaining structures to be installed at 3 of the sites. The type of structures will be determined in the near future. I don't have that information right now. The cost of the improvements will be submitted to FEMA as a hazard mitigation project. I believe, she said it's been noted that there are a few additional slips that have been identified, so we'll be arranging an assessment of those as well by engineer. So our recovery scoping meeting with FEMA was conducted on October 27th, and so we're in the process of finalizing the damage inventories before the 60-day deadline. We have 60 days from the day that we do the recovery scoping meeting. Project worksheets will be, with the associated repair costs, will be written from those damage inventories. So, but we will have those done in the 60-day deadline. The interlocal agreement with the county on private property debris removal is to be approved and signed. I believe the mayor has do you have a copy of that?
Yeah, we'll be doing that,
Well,
yeah.
you had it. She said you had a copy. The cost of private property debris removal is being covered by the county, and they will be the ones seeking reimbursement for that. And lastly, I have the Freedom Lane Bridge. We are in the process of arranging for an engineer to assess that. Are there any questions about all that I just rambled on?
No, it's,
Yeah, the Freedom Lane Bridge.
it's over by the store, that one, it's sort of,
Behind the fire.
when we're taking a chainsaw right now, so.
Yeah.
No, ERS has been great to work with. They do this professionally, and I like that you can do your own taxes and get some money back, or you can somebody that knows how to do it and get all your money back. And that's what we aim to do, is get as many repairs done as good as they can be made and get reimbursed for it. The EK Safe money will fill some gap in that. I've already talked to the bank if we need to borrow any money. If we do have to borrow money, then the EK Safe money will help pay for any kind of interest that's accrued with that. Everything's coming into place. I just ask people to be patient, that these are some pretty bad slips, and to fix them right, there's a process we have to go through. We have to have engineers look at it. We have to bid. We have to get contractors to do it. So instead of just throwing a rock at something and hoping it holds, we're going to try to fix it right. So I just ask people to be patient when we do that. If anybody don't have any questions for Ms. Gaddis, we'll move on to the Clean Water Assistance Agreement Resolution.
Is this the Exhibit 4 resolution?
Yes.
Ready, Mayor?
Yes.
Resolution, the City of Jenkins accepting the grant, approving the grant assistance agreement, authorizing the amendment of the City of Jenkins annual budget, and authorizing a representative to sign all related documents. Whereas the Kentucky General Assembly has appropriated funds for infrastructure projects in Senate Bill 36 of the 2021 regular session of the Kentucky General Assembly for the Cleaner Water Program, and whereas the City of Jenkins, friends, the quote grantee, end quote, close friends, has previously determined that it is in the public interest to acquire and construct certain facilities and improvements to the grantee's utility system, friends, the quote project, end quote, close friends, semicolon, and whereas the grantee desires funding from the Kentucky Infrastructure Authority, is the quote authority, end quote, close friends, for the purpose of acquisition and construction of the project, and whereas in order to obtain a grant from the Cleaner Water Program for the project and administered by the authority, the grantee is required to enter into an assistance agreement, friends, the quote agreement, end quote, close friends, with the authority. Now therefore be it resolved by the governing body of the City of Jenkins as follows. Section 1. The grantee hereby accepts the grant award and approves the agreement between the grantee and the authority to provide the necessary funds to the grantee for the project. Section 2. that read, Mayor is hereby designated to be the grantee's authorized agent for this project and is hereby directed and empowered by the grantee to agrees and commits to include by amendment to its annual budget and audit process the receipts and expenditures of funds subject to the agreement and up to and including the date of the project closeout. Section 4, that this resolution shall take effect at the earliest time provided by law. Adopted this blank date or blank signature line, authorized signatory. It should have a clerk's attestation attached.
Does. Alrighty, the clean water grant resolution, and what this one's for, we got one before that we're using to match up another $400,000 in ARC money to do I&I studies on the sewer lines. We're up to phase 5 of water, and you see in the report we're about 12% water loss, which has got us good with water. We're still working on the sewer part of it, building capacity for the industrial park and to be able to build these homes. So this one is for repairs to the first one's for I&I, this is for repairs to the sewer plant. There was some money that had been set aside to do that in future bonds, but it was also moved to another project. So this will get us caught back up with that. Do I hear a motion to approve the clean water resolution?
I'll second.
Got a motion second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Alrighty, interlocal agreement, and I'll just talk about that a little bit before we get started with it. When disasters hit, one of the biggest things you have to deal with is debris. Good thing about the debris for Kentucky was that the KYTC and the governor stepped up and handled that. They signed contracts, and that's what we've been operating under. So they pick the debris up, they apply for reimbursement, and then they get reimbursed. So that sort of took us out of that. Now that it's moving away from right-of-way, it's start having to get on private property. The county judge and the county stepped up, and they're going to be able to handle that part of it. And Whitesburg, us, and Plymouth Neon are looking to work under that contract for them. They will apply for the money and be reimbursed. That'll be another piece that we don't have to deal with in-house. Randall, would you please read the resolution?
Interlocutory cooperation agreement between Letcher County Fiscal Court, the City of Whitesburg, the City of Plymouth Neon, and the City of Jenkins. This interlocal cooperation agreement is the quote agreement in quote close friends dated as of this blank date of 1/2022 is made and entered into by and among the Letcher County Fiscal Court and the City of Whitesburg, the City of Fleming Neon, and the City of Jenkins, classified as county and city governments located within the Commonwealth of Kentucky. Witness it. Whereas Letcher County and all city governments located therein have suffered a catastrophic flooding event, and local, state, and national authorities have declared a state of emergency. Whereas Letcher County and all city governments located therein have reached agreement with regard to private property debris removal and monitoring services and operation as described below. And whereas due to the widespread nature of this flooding event, the need to cooperate for the health and safety of all residents of Letcher County has become apparent, as well as the need for one applicant for private property debris removal in the county. And whereas pursuant to Kentucky Interlocal Cooperation Act, friends, the quote act, close quotes in friends, KRS 65.210 to 65.300 et sec, inclusive any powers, privileges, or authorities exercised or capable of exercise by a public agency may be exercised jointly with another public agency under an agreement. Friends, in a interlocal agreement, close friends, with one another for joint or cooperative action, and such public agencies may acquire, construct, maintain, add to, and improve the necessary property, real and personal which is required in order to accomplish the purpose of the interlocal cooperation agreement, and now therefore in consideration of the mutual benefits to be delivered by each party, the Letcher County Fiscal Court and the City of Whitesburg, City of Fleming Neon, and City of Jenkins councils hereby establish this interlocal agreement, which provides as follows. Section 1, effective date and duration. This interlocal agreement shall take effect on the day executed by the judge executive and the mayors, and with the approval of this interlocal agreement by the Department of Local Government and any other officer or agency of the state government whose approval may be required by virtue of KRS 65.300, and the filing of a certified copy of this interlocal agreement with the county clerk of Letcher County and with the Secretary of State of the Commonwealth as required by KRS 65.290. Otherwise, this agreement shall take effect upon completion of these requirements. This interlocal agreement is intended to perpetual in duration and shall continue in effect from and after its effective date until the state of emergency has ended, of all eligible private property debris has been removed or disposed of in the county. Section 2. The respective parties to this agreement hereby agree as follows. Letcher County will collect all FEMA eligible private property debris throughout Letcher County, including within the city limits of Fleming, Jenkins, and Whitesburg. Letcher County will be the applicant within the FEMA Public Assistance (PA) program. Letcher County debris monitor contractor will provide the cities with reporting software which will show the locations of collected private property debris. Within the FEMA PA program, there is a federal, state, and local share. For all debris collected within the city limits, the respective cities will be responsible for the local share. If local share is not covered by other funds or grants, for instance, such as the EKY SAFE share, if local share is not fund, close parentheses, all parties will make efforts to reduce the local share through all methods available to include, but not limited to, FEMA PA donated resource grants and FEMA timeliness incentives grants, aka limited 100% time frame, close parentheses. The parties further agree to cooperate in the management, documentation, coordination of the flooding-related debris removal services within the county and local city government. Section 3, amendment and modification of the interlocal agreement. Interlocal agreement shall not be amended or otherwise modified in any fashion without the advance express written adoption of the Letcher County Fiscal Court and the cities, so long as it is in conformity with local and state law. Section 4, invalid provisions of interlocutory agreement. Should any part, term, or provisions of this agreement be determined to be illegal, void, or in conflict with any law of the Commonwealth of Kentucky or the United States of America, or otherwise be rendered unenforceable or ineffectual, such shall not affect the validity of the remaining portions, and same shall continue in full force and effect. Approved by motion duly made, seconded, and approved by a majority vote, the Letcher County Fiscal Court in session duly assembled on the blank day of blank 2022, Signature line Terry Adams, Judge Executive, attestation Letcher County Clerk. Approved by motion duly made and seconded and approved by the majority vote of the Whitesburg City Council in session duly assembled on the blank day of blank 2022, Signature line Tiffany Craft, Mayor, City of Whitesburg, attestation City Clerk. Approval by motion duly made and seconded and approved by the majority vote of the Fleming Neon City Council in session duly assembled on the blank day of blank 2022. Signature line Susan Paulus, Mayor, City of Fleming Neon, attestation City Clerk. Approved by motion duly made and seconded and approved by majority vote of the Jenkins City Council in session duly assembled on the blank day of blank 2022. Signature line Todd DePriest, Mayor, City of Jenkins, attestation City Clerk. Then approved this blank day of blank 2022 by part of the local government by its commissioner.
All righty. Any questions or comments about this? Not entertain a motion to approve the interlocal agreement between the city and the Letcher County.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
All right, have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. All righty, thanks. Jim, you want to go over your police report?
Just the three things real quick. I want to safe night. First time in 20-some years, I haven't been able to be there, and that really sucked because I had to go to class. But I really missed that, didn't realize how much, and if y'all have to miss it sometime, you'll realize how much you missed it too. But apparently it went really well. I really appreciate everybody that participated in it because it kind of gave us a step back to the normalcy, kind of like our Jenkins days did. And of course, speaking of the normalcy and the flood, we've been really lucky. We haven't had a whole lot of complaints related to the flood itself. However, we are getting in the Camden and Brickyard Hill areas, we're getting a lot of these night walkers. What they're doing is they're coming out and they're spotting and stealing. And when we do catch them, unfortunately, the way the laws are written right now after the pandemic and everything, we can't keep them in jail, so they get back out. When we do catch them committing a crime, we do arrest them. Our job is to get them there. It's the system's job to let them go. So what I'm asking is that everybody please, and our public, please have patience. Don't let your frustrations get the better of you and do something really, really horrible that's going to affect you for the rest of your life as well as the other guys. Sometimes we will find them out. They're not doing anything. Doesn't mean we can't stop and talk to them and explain to them that you know, what are you doing? Why are you in this area? One of the answers I got was, well, it's just out for a walk. So we strongly suggest them to walk somewhere else outside of our city because we don't need that. The relocation going on at the industrial park, it's really pretty cool because when you drive through there, it's nice to have people some people you don't know, and some from our own city. But it was really cool. Just this afternoon when I was going through there, one of the people from outside our city said it was nice to have the police come up and check up on you because we did go around and ask and see if anybody needed anything and gave them numbers to contact if they did. And it was pretty cool. And they said it's nice to have an officer check on you rather than trying to catch you up to something. So that was kind of a rare compliment that we get too. So other than that, that's about it. Boxy is doing a really good job. They're hitting outside the city as well because they are assisting other agencies. What I'd like to do in the future is start putting her information down as far as how many times she's been out and what kind of arrests were made from that. So other than that, that's probably about it for tonight.
Thank you, Jim. And I'll say this, along with Jeffrey, Jim's been there. He's been there checking on people and keeping stuff off my back sometimes when I'm in these meetings. So, Jim, I appreciate what you've done. One thing on the camper location, industrial park, there's 30 up there, 24 are occupied. I don't think the Methodist Church and a lot of different people that went together and put some care packages with towels and cookware and other things together up there. They've got 4 more units that can go online, and then there's a possibility of adding 4 more to that. They're waiting to see how people transition in and out through all the different Commonwealth sites. And it's another thing people need to understand is if you file for FEMA sheltering, that's not necessarily what's up here. This is a Commonwealth non-congregate sheltering program, so you have to apply with them. So if somebody's needing that or have applied for the FEMA side of it, they can go to the Commonwealth of Kentucky non-congregate sheltering program and call that number and apply for that. And we'll try to help them get moved in and take the best care we can of them. So, council got anything tonight they want to talk about?
Talking about some debris and that mini park on Lakeside, some of us need to find out.
Debris.
Park on Lakeside.
They picked the debris up. It washed all the padding out and we're looking to try to put some dense grate or something back just till we can get through to It's like the slips and everything else. That's a project for FEMA that we have to go through the process, so, yeah.
You said your kids played like different plays.
Yeah, we're gonna try to get it touched up a little bit. FEMA will be here and they'll be looking at stuff, and once they make their inspections, then we can do a little more stuff to them to make them a little better shape, but yeah, absolutely. Well, if nothing else, thank you all for coming. We keep saying we're gonna get through this together. We've sort of got through COVID, and now we're getting through the flood, but I feel confident with all the different folks, the BOAD crews, the things that's going to happen, volunteer groups coming in, everybody will get in some kind of shape. It's just amazing at the different groups from all over the United States that came in or been here or visited or promising to come back. We're working on some volunteer housing at the old high school gym. One of the biggest things here is trying to find places for these crews that are 15, 20, and 30 deep to be able to stay. So we've got some dorm-like beds coming to where we can set up a dorm situation down there and hopefully keep some of those volunteer groups through the winter and into the spring as long as we need them. So that's just one more thing.